is me. Our next speaker is Paul Vautrinot. Paul is a Las Vegas native, a 2005 graduate of Las Vegas Academy of the Arts. He's a graduate of the ABC Drug Court, based in Henderson, Nevada, and currently sits on the alumni group board as vice president. He is also alumni of Leadership Las Vegas class of 2020. He's also blushing, I can see that, Paul underneath the mask. Paul is a hero in the recovery community, and I just inserted that. Thank you for doing the work that you do, Paul. Paul is the program director at Freedom House. He's a housing director for Crossroads of Southern Nevada. Crossroads? Crossroads?
That's what's up.
Paul is the program director at Shine a Light, and he also sits on the board of directors for There Is No Hero in Heroin, otherwise known as Tin High. Paul, hero. Come on up.
I don't know whose idea it was to have me follow everybody. Not as formal. I say things that are tragic to some and super funny to us. So you guys are all in for a ride. I think it's really important in arenas such as this to kind of discuss how I got here. I was addicted to heroin at 19 years old. I was homeless at 23 years old, and I didn't get off the streets until I was 27. And the thing is I didn't want to get off the streets. He was just talking about rock bottoms, and my rock bottom happened a couple weeks before I think my life changed, and I have these two voices in my head, and I still do kind of, but I don't know if it's diagnosable anymore. And at the time, it was probably in that range, and one of them is this really quiet voice, and I really think that's who I was. I think that it's who I was as a kid, it's who I was at the Las Vegas Academy, it's who I was before I introduced drugs and alcohol in my life. And that really quiet voice used to tell me as I would walk the flood drains of the south side of Vegas, you're not supposed to be down here. This isn't the life for you. You had something going on. Remember the things you overcame. Like, what are you doing? And the louder voice is like, no, bro, like, this is it. This is where you're supposed to be. You deserve this. You've thrown everything away. And one day I'm walking the storm drains, and I'm having a quiet voice. And I remember I stopped at my tracks, and I said out loud, I said, you know what, dude, you're going to die out here underground with a needle in your arm. You'll be lucky if they found you within days. And I felt relief. I felt relief because that's how hopeless I was. I was in a place where I no longer wanted to argue with myself about whether or not there was hope in my life. And it wasn't a couple weeks later that my entire life changed, and I didn't wake up that morning deciding that I was going to change my life. To be quite honest with you, I hadn't slept in 5 days, so I don't know what morning I woke up. It had been about 5 days of this run. You get it. And I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, and I had a lengthy conversation with a cricket, and I really don't remember what the cricket side of the story was. I remember my side of the story very briefly, and that set off a series of events where I was going to pack my bags and I was going to leave, and the cricket distracted me just long enough to get arrested and get thrown into drug court. I think I ran from the police somewhere in the middle of that, but again, that's not probably the right room to talk about that. So, I tell a lot of the guys that I work with that you're within reach of changing your life. Literally within reach. Like, the time that I spent in the tunnels, the idea that I had kind of acquiesced to the idea that I was never going to have a chance to change and turn this thing around. Getting into a treatment program, getting into a drug court program, in spite of me, not because of me. I wanted nothing to do with it. I was literally within reach of changing my life. I spent the first 9 months of that journey denying that I wanted to do it. And so a message that I'm always trying to push is like, you're right there. Nyla's analogy about there's always somebody on the other side of the door, and I think that I was always within reach of the doorknob of going back to the other side of the door. I hadn't bought in. I didn't know if I wanted to do it. And all I did was I sat still and I listened to what people told me, and I begrudgingly did the things that I thought made no sense. And some of these old adages kept playing in my head, and one of the things that I think struck me really hard was I had played everything out. I had been to all the treatment centers. I had been arrested I don't know how many times. I had more than one cop that knew me by my first name basis, let alone knew how to say my last name, which is a phenomenal thing when you have my last name. And this one guy, he used to run warrants on me every week. Yeah, come over here, Paul. And he gave me $20 a couple times. Like, I built relationships with these guys. And that's a problem, considering I went home to a flood drain. You know what I mean? Like, so I bought in. I bought in spite of everything that my best friend told me. And I realized that I had played this thing out. I knew what the result was. I knew what the end game was. And every time that I gave myself a chance to change and I didn't grasp it and I went back out, it was always the same. And somebody said, why don't you stick around? You had no idea how this is going to play out. And it kind of dawned on me that I had never played it out. It was the one area of my life that I had never played it out. I had never persevered. I had never been honest. I had never taken the time to sit still long enough to let something sink in. I always let emotion dictate my next decision as opposed to patience. We like to call it reacting instead of responding. I reacted to life, I never responded to life. And one day, about 9 months sober, still kind of on the fringe here, I $1,500 in debt to my sober living, and I'm working at a car wash that was aptly named the Convict Car Wash. I'm pretty sure the name speaks for itself. And I'm in the car, this guy drives up in a blue BMW, and he throws me his keys, and he's like, I'll be inside when you're done, and I just start cleaning the car, and I move the passenger seat from the front, or from the back forward so I can vacuum under the car, and there's this money bag, and it's folded and stuck in the fold, and like, I've been a criminal for many years, and my criminal brain's like, they don't know this is here. And there was $2,000 in that money bag, and I know that because I counted it. I counted it twice, actually, and that money bag made it from my pocket, back under the seat, to the front of my pants, back under the seat, to the back of my pants, back under the seat. And then, I must have put that thing on me and off me more times than I can count. And then the next thing you know, I'm like, I gotta call my sponsor. That's the whole point of this, is there's people in my life that'll tell me what to do, and I call my sponsor, and I'm like, hey, listen, man, I just found $2,000, and I'm pretty sure the guy doesn't know that this is here because the way the money bag's folded, and there's $2,000 on it, and I really want to take it because I owe my sober living $1,500, and he's like, okay, what are you gonna do? I go, well, I don't know, that's why I'm calling you. And he's like, look, man, I go, I've already kind of walked you through this. You seem like you know what you're gonna do. Why don't you call me back when you figure out what you do? I'm really excited to hear. And he hangs up. It was in that moment that I realized I needed a new sponsor. But I realized two things at this point. One, I had called my sponsor. Something that I had never done before in my life, in the midst of desperation and this need to change my life. I had never actually looked to seek advice from another human being. I just ran with my instinct. And the second thing I realized was this is the cleanest back seat I've ever vacuumed in my life, because I've just been standing here for 20 minutes trying to figure this shit out. And so finally I throw the vacuum down, I grab the money bag, and I storm over to the guy, and I throw him his money bag, and he goes, what's this? And I go, it was under your chair. And he goes, this isn't mine. No. My brain knew he didn't know, and he validates me. So now, needless to say, the other side of the car was not as clean as the passenger side of the car, because I exemplary finished it up, and I throw back the keys. And he looks me dead in the eye, and he says, dude, this was my wife's work money. Like, she thought she had lost it, and we were going to pay it back from our savings. Thank you. And he gives me $500. The manager of the Convict Car Wash comes out and goes, man, that guy just told me what you do, and I'm going to give you a $500 bonus and a raise, because that don't happen around here. And literally by the first paycheck, I had paid the $1,500 that I owed back to my sober living. But here's the moral of the story, though, really is this. The car wash that I worked on, that manager had seen me every day being homeless. It was literally of the tunnels that I lived in. I'm sitting on the side of the building, and 45 minutes later, 4 Metro officers pull into the parking lot. And I look over and I look at the 4 cop cars, and I realize right then and there that I would have run in that moment right back into the tunnel had I taken that money. And they walked in and they bought what they wanted to buy, and they walk out and they get in their car and they drive off. It clicked. For the first time in my life, I did the right thing, and I had nothing to run from. I had nothing to hide from. For the first time in my life, I made a decision in spite of me and not because of me, because I surrounded myself by people that had a solution that I didn't know what I wanted, and I saw it through. And it was a turning point. And I can't say that I did things perfectly from there. It took me a long time to realize that I should probably pay for stuff in the 99-cent store, but it was definitely a stepping stone. I love how you talk about the storms. Another thing that I say a lot is programs like this, Crossroads and Sierra Sage and Freedom House and LIMA and Drug Court. It's an umbrella. It's a makeshift umbrella. And the reality of it is like, the storm is always out there. Like, we suffer from this disease because of the way we react to life or lack thereof. We don't know how to react to life, and the problem is, it's like, we don't have an umbrella. So these things come into our lives, and we provide this umbrella, and we feel safe for a short amount of time, and we enjoy ourselves, and then they kick us out, and we go, oh crap, we're back in the middle of it. Build your umbrella. Build your umbrella. It's super important and it's super possible. All of these things exist around you. Buy in, tap in, don't stop trying. I relapsed 10 times before I got sober for 30 days. Some of you guys I've worked personally with, some of you guys I don't know, and the reality of it is all of you guys, this is on offer for all of you guys. You are literally within reach of changing your life. And I'll close with this. The things that I have to constantly remind myself is that I suffer from a disease that's primary symptom is trying to convince me that I don't have a disease. Stay close to your people. Stay close.